Hey everyone, and welcome to the Brentwood Baptist Leadership Podcast. I'm Brian Coates, and this month we're focused on multiplication, and today we're taking a step back to look at the bigger picture of the state of our churches in Middle Tennessee. So these kind of conversations help us think beyond our own context and toward what God is doing across our region. I'm joined today by William Maxwell from the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board, and we're diving in to see what we're seeing with the churches in Middle Tennessee and where there's still a great need for where we can help and partner throughout our region. So let's go ahead and jump in. William, tell us your title, because I always just call you the executive pastor of the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board, but what is it that you do?
Yeah, my official title now is the Chief Administrative Officer for TBMB, but that includes really everything the executive director needs done, ask me to do, and strategic planning and those kinds of things fall in my area.
Yeah, so basically you are the executive pastor of the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board.
That works.
Yeah. So we're so grateful to be able to have a partnership with you guys and to be one of the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board churches. And we have so many common themes and strategies that we work on together. And one of those is multiplication. So when we're talking about Middle Tennessee and our current landscape, what is it that you see that encourages you the most right now that's happening across our region with churches?
Well, the one thing that really encourages me is what we're seeing among college students and youth in our churches and on our college campuses. We have 24 BCMs. My day was BSU across the state, and they are reporting extraordinary numbers attending, and not just the free lunches that college kids love, and not just even the worship services. But they are going out on their campuses and having Pop-Tarts and coffee carts, which means that they are giving away Pop-Tarts and coffee and having gospel conversations with students.
That's awesome.
And it's just an amazing response to what's happening. And that's beginning to overflow into our churches.
Good.
And churches are beginning to pick up on some of that energy.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yeah, and particularly when you think about like here in Nashville, how many colleges we have, and seeing the Lord do that work and how they can connect to the different congregations across the area, that's really encouraging.
It really is. So that's exciting. I think we're also getting a sense of churches really going back to what Baptists stand for on cooperation. That we can do more together than we can do separately. And they are really beginning to work together and think about not only how does something affect my church, but how does it affect the kingdom? And those are important steps.
Yeah, that's huge, because you can build your own little territory in Baptist world pretty easy, but if we're partnering together, we're better together than we are apart for that. That's very encouraging to hear. Well, flipping from that, we're going from positive to not so much negative, but what are the challenges that you're seeing right now across our region?
Well, I think some churches are succumbing to the pressures of the culture. They are seeing some of their competition not so much being what the evil one is doing to us, but things of the world that are challenging church members' time, and investment of time and money. And so that's a challenge for churches and how they approach that. And I think that's one of the things that they're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. The consistency of attendance and the involvement of your members, we see that here, in our congregation, but knowing that that's a regional challenge is a concern. And
absolutely.
What are some of the other things that, as you're looking across Middle Tennessee with the Baptist churches you're working with, that brings you concern? Maybe keeps you up at night?
Well, one of the things that we're trying to address are what I would describe as leadership silos. The vast majority of our churches are single staff churches at best. They may have a part-time music leader who shows up on Sunday morning and Wednesday nights, but otherwise it's just the pastor there, and he's pretty much on his own. So he doesn't necessarily have the support group that encourages him in ministry. He's a little afraid to reach out to the other pastors in the association or the area because he doesn't want to appear that you know he's struggling. We have, matter of fact, the height of this was in 2020 in COVID. Because pastors are generally external people, extroverts. They want to get out and talk to people and meet people. They couldn't. TBMB made about 30,000 phone calls just in March through May of 2020, just to encourage pastors and to talk to them. We still get feedback on those phone calls because that was so important to their lives. And since then, I think they've realized, hey, there are others out there that are doing the same things. But still, there's still a little hesitancy to be very honest about their struggles. One of the things that we've started is in our Strengthening Gospel Leaders area is something we call our minister wellness. And this sounds kind of crazy, but we're organized a bus trip this summer to go to 3 Major League Baseball parks.
That sounds fantastic.
Absolutely, and take these pastors just to fellowship together. Unfortunately, they're having to pay for it all because we don't have the funding to pay for their tickets and their bus and the hotel. Hopefully, if somebody will step up and help us with that in the future.
Maybe one of our listeners
will do that. But we just see that as a need for that fellowship. To get out of that silo.
No, and you brought up a really good point that I think, definitely in my context here, that take for granted, just that the majority of the churches here in Tennessee are single staffed. And that you do have to be intentional to find outlets for networking, for support, for encouragement. And that's one of the ways that you guys come alongside. But that's definitely a concern that's got to be addressed and continue to be met.
We're another thing that we're doing in that line is across the state are creating cohorts in various ways, and maybe it's a cohort of pastors who feel like they're lacking in discipleship in their church. And so we're not coming in as, hey, we're the experts, we're going to tell you how to do it. But let's learn from each other. Let's get together. And so if we can facilitate them getting together, and maybe it's they're doing a book study, together, something, or studying some method, or just sharing with each other.
It's so vital. And, turning the conversation a little bit, I know that you and the efforts of the TBMB have been really centered on how do we partner with churches that are already doing some of this multiplication work or making an impact. As you're thinking through that, and as your leadership team comes together, how do you evaluate and say, hey, this church has the potential for future impact?
Well, I think you take a good look at what they're doing and how they're doing it. Numerical growth is not always the best measure of a church, but I think it's obviously a church is bathed in prayer. That understands the power of prayer and that is patiently waiting on the Lord to show them the direction they need to go. That's a key factor, I think, in a church being healthy. And as we talk about making churches healthy, they have to have that. We also want to make sure that they are churches that have discipleship as a primary effort. I think it's also important that churches have a very strong understanding of their, what I would say, their why.
Yes, yeah.
Why do they exist?
Yeah.
And that is most often seen in that they have a full understanding of their mission statement, of their vision, and those aren't just statements stuck on a document somewhere on the shelf.
Yeah.
But it's a statement that's lived out.
Yeah. They've got the vision, their mission, they're living that out consistently.
Yeah.
And they've got the potential to make an impact, particularly in that area of multiplication. Now, on the flip side, you're looking at churches that you can partner with and do work for multiplication from a state level. But what are some of the signs, or how do people reach out to you when they're getting to that point of, hey, we may need some help in revitalization? How do you all work with churches and come alongside of them in that?
Yeah. Again, we have a strengthening healthy churches team that steps in and doing that. And, probably need to talk to Darryl Crouch, our team leader there. He has a big circle that and thing that he uses. There's a lot of confusion about what is church revitalization. And when do you need to be revitalized? And a lot of folks say, well, we don't need revitalization till just before we're ready to close the doors. Well, that's not true. Much like your daily discipleship as an individual, where you need to be every morning, you need to be, renewed in the spirit. And so church growth models use a bell curve. And just after you hit the top of that, is when you need to be.
You're going to go next.
You need to be rethinking what's the next step. Where do we need to redream the dream? And so that's a key factor in knowing of what is revitalization, what's a new start, and then how do we begin new churches? Certainly, it's never our goal to go in and close churches.
Sure.
We certainly don't want to ever lose church property. Not making any more dirt. And they're certainly not making any dirt that's got a church building on it.
That's right.
A great story I love to tell is about a church in Brownsville, Tennessee. They were down to about 17 people, all in their 70s. And, they had a great building. And they said, we don't think we can reach our community. It's changed. It's, pretty much an African-American community now. So, and we don't know how to reach them. But they said, we want to give TBNB our property and let you see what you can do with it. Well, it was a great opportunity. We sent some teams in to do a little bit of work, refurbish some bathrooms and those kinds of things. But these folks in their 70s had the nursery ready for if they ever had any children visit. Didn't have any for 10 years, but every Sunday they made sure it was ready. Being very faithful. So anyway, we were able to work with Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Memphis, and they found a young African-American pastor that has gone in there and is just doing, they're up to about 150 every Sunday right now, just in the neighborhood of Brownsville.
And I think that what you pick up on there is that they didn't look at revitalization or an opportunity to look for new ways to minister as failure. They looked at it for kingdom opportunity.
Kingdom opportunity. That is the key. You have to look at how's this going to impact the kingdom. One story out of that is there was a member that came the first Sunday that the African American church met and said, I just wanted to be back in this building to hear the voices of young children in the building. Just, great story about what they wanted for the kingdom, not what they wanted for themselves.
And that's really the key in all good, successful multiplication efforts. So, with that, are you seeing more churches emerge that are like that are willing to partner with others, maybe more so than in previous years?
Oh, I think definitely so. There is a church in, I'm drawing a blank now. Lenoir City, First Baptist Lenoir City is a church that has basically adopted First Baptist Church of Loudon. And they have they are helping to revitalize that and get it back to where was
Yeah.
and where it could be, and then let it go back to be. And they're not, it's not a quote unquote takeover. But it's really coming alongside to see how they can work together.
Yeah.
And this church. But there's several other stories like that. I remember I helped a church down in Cleveland work through some of the legal aspects of a merger of churches. And there's several different ways to merge. You know, there can be what is essentially a takeover. One stronger church comes in. There can be one where there's essentially a new church emerges out of two churches.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen a lot of that.
Seen a lot of that, more of that happening.
Yeah.
And just shout out to some previous episodes where we talked about mergers. If you want to go back and listen to those. But what do you think? Is it just primarily decline that is driving the willingness to participate, or is it there's somewhere you're seeing like-minded mission and vision and going together? Or?
It's definitely some of both.
Okay.
Decline. The builder generation is beginning to die off. But you think back to some of the things the builder generation did.
Yeah.
Is they were very kingdom focused.
Yeah.
They were willing to step out and take some risk and take some chances and build some new buildings and do some of those things. And then we went through a period where a lot of disgruntledness, apathy, if you will.
Sure.
And you still see that. There are still churches that are just trying to survive.
Yeah.
If we can, just keep, stay on until retirement, we'll be happy.
Yeah. But if that focus isn't on the kingdom, it's
absolutely.
And so, it makes sense that when you get to that critical point of man, we don't have a lot of people here, but you got to have that mindset of, all right, what is going to make the most sense for God to get the glory in my community? And if that's where you're starting or where you're approaching, then you're going to have more of an open-handed thing. Mm-hmm. So with that, besides just apathy, what are some of the barriers you're seeing from more collaboration? I know you said earlier that we're starting to see more networking and hopefully see more, but what are those barriers you continue to see from collaboration?
Honestly, a lack of humility.
Yeah.
Micah chapter 6 talks about, walk humbly with the Lord, and also I think some impatience. The Bible talks a lot about, wait on the Lord.
Yeah.
And, be patient. And, but somehow churches want to jump out and go their own direction, and they're not being led by the Holy Spirit. They're seeing some of the things of the world that are attractive to them, and they're trying to imitate. Again, they're going back to what is their competition doing.
Yeah.
And they've got the wrong idea. Well, who is their competitor?
Yeah.
And what are they fighting against? And so they try to mix and mingle some of those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point, because when you start to get in competition mindset, you're competing for market share, not for multiplication of the gospel.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that every pastor, every leader's got to check in their spirit to make sure, what are my right motives? And so, calling it for what it is, that's a barrier. Humility's got to be there. So, as you look ahead in the next few years in Middle Tennessee and really throughout the state, what are some of the greatest needs that you're seeing in the area of multiplication?
I think, again, patience, waiting on the Holy Spirit to help us. We've got to have that kingdom vision that we've talked about, where it's not about what are we doing. I think, again, we have to focus on the why. Mm-hmm. One of the things we're seeing more and more of is maybe not the traditional church buildings with the steeple. But we're seeing, sidewalk. Storefronts. That are empty now, and churches going in and becoming a church there.
Yeah.
I do think home churches are going to start up, because I think what the younger generations are looking for, even in their relationship to Christ, is a sense of intimacy with their church.
Yeah, is that authentic experience.
That authentic experience, having the community that they desperately our collegiate ministries just finished Beach Reach.
Yeah.
I think something like 25,000 conversations
Wow.
with
God.
college students in Panama City.
Yeah.
I believe the final count on the salvations was over 800 people, profess faith. But as I was thinking about, so how does that work? I mean, here are college students who go down to Panama City and teach, intentionally seeking, the wildlife, if you will. And so these other college students show up in vans and offer rides and free pancakes. And they have these conversations with them.
Yeah.
But then those students realize, this life here is not where I want to live my life eternally.
Yeah, and so you're seeing that it's a mobilization from the younger generation there that I think can continue to fuel multiplication movements throughout our state. And I want to commend you guys at the TBMB for being adaptable and willing to work, whether it's storefronts or if it's a home church that's developing. Where can you partner with the people that are making the greatest amount of impact? And I would say probably for some of our listeners too, that's not always been what we would assume from the state convention, but you guys have really been humble in your own right to say, hey, we're going to meet people where we're at to help them multiply.
Well, and some of that was by necessity.
Yeah.
Well, flat income, flat budgets. But as we really got into it, we said, we're not the experts necessarily. We need to the folks that work in local churches are the ones that know how to get things done. We need to put those churches that are being successful with those churches that are struggling.
Yeah.
And see how that works.
Yeah. So as you see this moving forward, what are some of the things that you would tell our listeners? Let's say we'll look at both situations. One, you're a church that's looking to multiply your mission and vision in your area. Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways that they can partner with you guys at the TBMB and be a part of what's going on in your initiatives?
Well, there's almost, we have three major thrusts. Our mission is, though, that we serve churches by multiplying gospel leaders who advance God's kingdom. Mm-hmm. And so we want to work with leaders, and, whether that be pastors, disaster relief leaders, children's leaders, whatever, constitute a gospel leader. And then, but anyway, we have three groups: gospel leaders, evangelistic disciples, and healthy churches. Yeah. And so each of those areas are looking to strengthen and multiply. Mm-hmm. And so one of the greatest needs that churches came to us and said is, we can't find church leaders. We can't find minister staff. We can't find children's workers. Help us do that. So, that's, I've probably gotten off your question now. That is what we're trying to do primarily, is help with leadership. Yeah. And then help them find and discover some new ways. But helping, it may be the church down the street that's being successful, that understands your town, your city, your location a lot better than those of us who work out of Franklin. Yeah. And so that's important.
Yeah. So if like one of our listeners, they've got a church, say in Middle Tennessee, and they are expanding their impact and they're developing leaders and they're doing all the things that you would hope, they may be able to partner in an association with you guys to find the right match to how to continue to build the kingdom in their community.
Yeah. The number one need that we have in the area of multiplication of churches is mother churches. Old term, but we still use it.
Sure.
But to help find, and we've already located. These are geographical sites where churches are needed, or these are people groups that need a church, ethnic people
communities.
Nashville has one of the largest centralization of various entry. I think it's 130 something language groups
that are
in the Nashville public schools. And so we know where their churches are needed. But we need mother churches to help get those churches started.
Yeah.
Because we have a firm conviction, state conventions don't start churches.
Yeah.
Churches start churches.
Absolutely.
Very much a biblical model there. And but we want to help you do that, step alongside you. So if you're a successful church, let us know that you're interested in becoming a multiplier.
Yeah, that's great. And I feel confident that some of the people that will end up listening to this are in that state where they've got a healthy mission and vision and they're living it out and they're seeing gospel fruit. Let's take that next step.
Absolutely.
How do we partner together and continue to build the kingdom?
Because I think what we saw, you're too young to remember, but in the 70s and 80s was a lot of, how big of a building we can build.
Yep.
And I think that has gone away to an understanding of, how broad of an expanse can we do. That's a signal of success.
Yeah.
If we can broaden our reach.
Absolutely. That's health.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, for the church that is processing, we haven't had people in our nursery or kids in our nursery for 10 years. What are you coaching them to think through, and how do they reach out or partner with the TBMB in that scenario, like you talked about with Brownsville?
One of the things that we can best do for them is we have access to a software demographics program that can basically tell you who's in your community.
Yeah.
And it surprises most churches when we show them, hey, the people in your community are in this economic bracket, they're of this ethnic background, they have these features, which may define how you approach your ministry.
Yeah, the methods you use.
It may be all of a sudden one of your best ministries is English as a second language class, and we have trainers who can come in and train your church on how to do English as a second language.
Yeah.
Or how to do community ministries that reach out. There's an old saying, people, care. They don't know how much you care until you show them.
Yeah.
And so that's what you want to, that's a part of community ministries. Is to do those kinds of things. So that demographic studies are very critical, and 1, 2, 3 miles of your church site can help you understand that.
Yeah, and kind of get a good sense of reality, because maybe some of those folks will come back. Those churches will come back from where they're at because the Lord reinvigorates their desire to reach your community. Or it may reveal like, hey, no, we need to take a deeper step in partnership with somebody else.
And I think what we see today is, the person on the street is probably not going to walk in church on Sunday morning and say, tell me what you got.
Yeah.
They're going to, now studies have shown that if somebody invites them to come, they are likely to show up. Mm-hmm. The reality is, I used to kind of get frustrated at people that say, oh, that person needs to be in church. Well, yes, they do, but they really need Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the key thing.
Yeah.
And so why don't you tell them about Jesus?
Yes.
And so maybe that means that what the local church needs is a better discipling process of their members so that they become missional in their lives.
Yeah.
I love the gospel conversations classes that the Minches led and that we're restarting here in a few weeks. I think, how they talked about being a gospel witness and having gospel conversations was just incredible.
Yeah. And really taking a look at if your church is doing that, and really getting to the heartbeat of it. Because like for us here, we've always got to assess, are we living that out before our people? Mm-hmm. And then when we're helping others in multiplication, like when we've worked with revitalization, it's what's the purpose of this? Yeah. And it's to get the gospel out into those communities. And that's very helpful. And again, I'm just so grateful for the work that you're doing and the TBMB is doing to be a resource to partner with churches that are making a difference in their areas, but then also being there to help those other churches connect and figure out what their next steps are from there.
Well, God has given us a wonderful mission and a great opportunity to help churches. And it's astounding the number of people we run into still who don't understand that the state convention, the TBMB, we work for the churches.
Yeah.
They do not work for us.
That's right.
And so we're glad to help any way we can.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of crazy questions, but that's okay.
That's
We'll
right.
try to help however we can.
Well, and the heart for that is you guys want to see the kingdom grow.
Absolutely.
So thank you, William. I appreciate that conversation today. It's very helpful to remind us that we're part of something bigger than just our own church. So if today's episode encouraged you, we'd love for you to join us and the TBMB. They'll be here too at our Elevate Church Conference.
Absolutely.
On September 21st and 22nd of 2026. And you can learn more and sign up at elevatechurchconference.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.